Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life. Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of Next to Madison. I am Madison Malloy. This is a very unique, special episode we are doing. I am going to be handing over the reins to our amazing podcast producer, Lynette Dallas, who does not get mentioned enough, but I try to mention her as much as I can. So I'm so excited that you guys are going to be able to hear her speak, see her on our YouTube channel, and she's going to be interviewing me about my new book that is out now called Time to Lighten the Fck Up. So I am no longer the host. Lynette Dallas, take it away.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in. And I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to everybody out there that supported us, friends, family, and especially to Madison for being such a gracious host every week. So I wanted to get that in quickly before we start this episode.
Yay.
Yay. So Madison wrote a wonderful book, can be purchased wherever you buy books, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever. And the name of the book is Lighten the F Up.
Time to
Lighten the F Up.
Or
so
fuck.
What does the F stand for?
Fuck.
Just
Lighten the
kidding.
fuck up. Lynette, lighten the fuck up.
Just kidding.
I know for radio, when I do a radio tour, I have to be like, lighten the F up, lighten the F up.
Yeah, so I did get to read a little bit of the book. I haven't finished it, and I have a whole slew of questions, as I'm sure a lot of our listeners do as well. So you said during the summer that you decided to write this book about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
But also you speak about you had an aha moment. So was it when you had your aha moment that you decided to write the book?
I think the aha moment kind of came when I realized that my life was difficult because I was making it difficult, and I really just needed to lighten the fuck up. And that was the moment where I'm like, you know what? I need to simplify everything. I felt that I was trying to control every situation around me. I mean, you've known me for many years. I tried to control a lot of the stuff I couldn't control, which was making me inherently miserable. And finally, when I was able to kind of like release those chains and get out of all the other obstacles that were holding me back, I was like, I have to put this in a funny book. And I'm somebody who's read a lot of self-help books, and I felt they were just talking at you and not like to you. And I wanted to write this in a very unfiltered, raw, matches my blue humor way, to where it was like, this is what it is. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's talk about the journey, and just hopefully I can help people kind of get it.
Right. So did you always wish to write a book, or was this just something that came to you?
I've always kind of wanted to write a book, a self-help book, as I was going through my own self-help journey. But I just kept thinking, like, I'm not going to self-publish. I want to wait for a deal. I was waiting to get famous, or I was waiting to be more popular. I was waiting for more money. And that was kind of how I lived a lot of my life in the past, was just waiting for this outside validation versus the inner validation. But I also think that things happen that you don't expect. So when I'm praying to God and I'm saying, show me a way, show me opportunity, show me what I might be missing, those messages might come in the form of bumping into a publisher.
Right. So why don't you speak about what was the switch? Was there many things that happened that led up to that aha moment? Or was there one thing that happened, and was it something that happened abruptly? Or was it over a period of months or years for you to get to that point?
So it didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of things. I fell into very deep depression and anxiety trying to be an artist, working jobs that I felt I was way overqualified for, and just constantly being broke. And I was just like, I'm sick of this. But one of the wake-up calls for me was when I remember one night Googling the most painful way to die, painless way to commit suicide.
No.
Yeah. And that was a very dark moment that a lot of people don't know. Mm-hmm. I felt I could not get out of my own way. I was struggling. Life was constantly hard for me. People looked at me like, you've got everything. You know, I had the face of Greenwich and, you know, the bank account of a trailer park. It was a very big struggle, and I didn't want to be the face of depression. I didn't want to be the face of anxiety. And I didn't feel I was a depressed person. I didn't feel that. I felt that my situation and my thoughts brought it on.
Right.
And so that was the first moment where I'm like, what is wrong with me? And then just being sick and tired of being in my situation, sick and tired of being depressed on a Sunday because I had to face my life again.
Right.
Wanting to escape. I was always looking for the escape. And then finally when I just started like living more in the present, accepting what was, letting go of control of the stuff I couldn't control anymore, trying to just go with the flow, working on my confidence. It was all these things over, and they took some years to really click to where I was like, all right, that's it. I lighten the fuck up and have fun with life, because that's what it's all about.
Right.
It's not about taking things seriously. And my biggest downfall, and I write about this in the book, in the past, was that I cared too much what people thought. And it literally paralyzed me, prevented me from taking the risk on stage. It prevented me from doing things that I wanted to put out, prevented me from growing my socials as fast as I should, prevented me from doing a lot of things. Until finally I realized that, like, hey, 50% of the people statistically are just not going to like you.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And I said, there's some people that don't even like Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's Jesus.
Yeah.
I said, if people cannot like Jesus, then I'm okay with people not liking me. As long as I don't do anything to earn that dislike.
Yeah. Well, there's been many times that you and I have spoken about depression and success. And, you know, it's funny. You know, I did hit a point in my life where I also said to myself, you know what, not everybody's going to like you. And that's okay.
Isn't that the best feeling
it's
ever?
Okay. You know, that's too bad. Or I joke about it and I'll say something to the effect of, well, that's too bad because I am a good friend and I am the better deal. Yeah. But, you know, as soon as you release that and say, you know, it doesn't matter. I have great friends. I have family. You know, everything's okay. And when you can let go of that mindset, because you speak about mindset in your book as well, right? And if you can let go of that, not everybody's going to be your friend, and that's okay. Yeah,
and they always say when you're actually doing really cool stuff, like big stuff, more people are not going to like you. It's lonely at the top, but wouldn't you rather be a little lonely at the top than overcrowded at the bottom? That's what I say. I'd rather be lonely at the top.
Yeah, and I think you hit a point sometimes too where you say, "Yeah, I have enough friends. I can't keep up with the friends I already have."
You can barely see them already. Yeah,
exactly.
And you want to have relationships that you know you can count on. That if you were sick or lost your money or something happened, that you had people you can count on. You know, it's good to have acquaintances because that's fine. That's a wonderful thing too. But you really got to have those good friends. I think the statistic is you should really only for a healthy statistic is you're only supposed to have 5 friends that you can count on. That's a lot. That's on the high side.
Some self-books speak about inner circle, then an outer layer of a circle, and then you prioritize what that means. But it's interesting, you spoke about depression and anxiety. And I know I worked in comedy for a minute, I understand how that works. So we've had quite a few people on the show before that have spoken about depression and anxiety and success and mindset. So did you find that working as the host of the show and doing these interviews that was able to bring you to a point to reevaluate yourself as well?
Oh, absolutely. Our guests have been absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes you're not looking for the advice, you're just trying to run the show, and then something really resonates with you. I always have a piece of paper next to me during the show, and sometimes if you watch the YouTube videos, you'll see me looking down. It's because something triggered me, and I'm writing it down to make sure I don't miss it.
Don't forget, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm I want to bookmark that. I want to put it in there. So yeah, our guests have been so inspiring and amazing. And, you know, I had an interview with somebody who said, you know, your podcast has been running over 3 years. What's the process been like? And I said, you know, when I first started it, I thought I would be the biggest thing ever in 2 months. And you know, and then we hit year 2 and we were growing and we both kind of were frustrated. We're like, should we shut it down? But what made me keep going was the fact that even though we weren't exactly where we wanted to be 2 years in, I loved it. And the connections that I was making and the conversations I was having, I knew were not only benefiting myself, they were benefiting you, and they were benefiting our listeners. And so we kept going, and I think we're never going to release the numbers, but I think September we had our best month on the audio.
Yeah, that's great news.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I love doing this. I love giving people a forum to speak about what they're doing, where they're going, and how many authors we've had.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And we've had Mitzi Perdue on twice, which is very exciting. And we have people calling us to be on the show. It's really been very exciting. And I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Well, it's only going up from here, and I think it's going to be going up real fast. Yeah. So we are prepared. We are ready. We are ready. So share our show with all your friends that are listening. And you know what's interesting, speaking of authors, there was an episode at the beginning of the pandemic. Do you remember this episode? With a very famous author named Bob Kolker, who wrote a book called Hidden Valley Road. Go back and listen to that episode, which became Oprah's #1 book, best-selling book in the world.
Yep.
That was actually my family, not my direct family. My dad's, I call it my dad's family. Not my family, my dad's family. But second cousins, because they're his first cousins. Very tragic story, but also very like informative and educational, especially in like the mental health area. So it's kind of funny. There's been 2 books in my family. So there's Hidden Valley Road, which was the number 1 book, and then there's Time to Lighten the Fuck Up. So very different.
Very different. So to segue into family.
Okay.
Madison has the most wonderful parents.
I do.
Wonderful family. But you spoke about your grandmother in particular in your book. And she was telling you and your brother that if you want to be successful in business, play golf.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how's your golf game, and when are we going to play together?
So the golf is a game of consistency. So I feel if I was consistent, I would be a lot better.
It's so true.
Do you know what I tell people? They say, how's your golf game? I say, I won't disappoint you. I can keep up. And best ball's my favorite play to play. And the 19th hole is the best hole.
Yeah. So if your grandmother was here, what would she say to you? Speaking about your depression and the road that you've traveled and who you are now.
Yeah, I think she would say, get better at golf.
Exactly.
How's your portfolio? Why? And you finally fucking made it. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, I also think that she would say that you hung in there, that you overcame it, right?
Yeah.
And you kept moving forward. And I know there were times where you were feeling disappointed about the numbers sometimes. I said, no, let's just keep going. You know, it takes time.
I mean, I would say, like, you and I persevered no matter what. But thank God we both enjoyed it. And that's why I think it's important, like, the message I would say, in the message that's also in the book, is, like, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're never going to be able to get through the hard times.
Exactly.
Ever.
And perseverance is my favorite word. And maybe one day we'll do a whole episode on perseverance. I've got some great perseverance stories. Yeah. I mean, today was perseverance, just trying to get here. I haven't been in New York for a while. Yeah. And just trying to navigate again. And you forget very easily. I was like, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
So very important word.
We're both back in New York. Lynette and I have both relocated to greener pastures, meaning like more nature and trees. But we're both back. I'm back here for a couple months, and you're back here for a couple weeks. Yeah. Yes. So it's been fun. Isn't it kind of more fun? I'm enjoying the city more now than I did before, now that I don't live here. I feel like I'm on an extended vacation.
Yeah. I think because we're condensing everything, like, into a period of time. Yeah. So I think when you live in New York, you say, I'll get to that next week, or I'll do that next month. But when you're only here for a short period of time, right? You're seeing all your friends and you're calling everybody because you're thinking, well, I'm only here for a little bit. So you want to squeeze everything in. Yeah, no, exactly. So, but that's the thing too, is like, I remember living in New York, and I would say no to a lot of things
because either I didn't want to get ready, I didn't feel like I looked good. There was a million excuses when I was totally stumbling over myself in my own way.
So you didn't suffer from FOMO?
No. I thought I did, but I didn't. I feel like I only suffered from FOMO when it was a summer weekend and I wasn't in the Hamptons.
Oh.
It was the only time it really came on hard. But now I've realized that nothing happens in your bedroom. I mean, some stuff could happen, not for me, but you know, so you got to get out there. So I try to always like go. I don't think you should say yes to everything because it's not healthy. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're not exhausted and you're just going to watch TV that night, you should say yes because that's where the shit happens. Mm-hmm. You got to put yourself out there and you got to like make it happen.
Absolutely.
Do great things.
And you never know what's going to happen. You never know where things are going to lead. But I do agree about the dressing up part because one of the things I've learned when you living in another place where you really don't know many people, you're not doing the hair, you're not doing the makeup, you know, you're wearing flip-flops, you know, it's very different, but also a lot of fun to be back here. So back to the book.
Okay.
So I want to know, most people may know or may not know that Madison is an entrepreneur. She's a writer. She's an actor. She's a comedian.
Not an actor anymore. I gave that up.
Well, you have to be a little bit of an actor to be a comedian, don't you think?
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you know what? Money talks.
Yeah, exactly.
There's enough money on the table. Guess what? I'm now an actress. Exactly. Hello.
So out of those things, and also you started in finance. So out of all those things, what do you think most prepared you for this moment?
My Wall Street career and stand-up comedy. For sure.
Yeah.
Both felt scary.
Yeah.
And uncertain. Stand-up comedy the most. Stand-up comedy is like the greatest platform. I'm not telling people to be a stand-up comedian. What I am telling people is that everybody should take a class and get on stage.
Yeah.
I think it is like one of the best things. I mean, I want to do public speaking and I have some gigs like coming up to like launch that whole segment. And I'm so excited because it's going to be like, it's going to feel like a walk in the park. It's going to have its own challenges. But after doing stand-up comedy, I'm like, bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it. The fact that I actually recently got up on stage at New York Comedy Club. And it was so fun. I hadn't told jokes for like a couple months. I was really rusty. And I went to go tell this one joke and you know, silence. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad you guys.
Every comedian's nightmare.
Right. But I said, I'm so glad you guys reacted the way you did and didn't laugh at all because I'm trying to be a public speaker now versus a comedian, and they need to be silent. So you guys are preparing me very well for my new career.
That's
and then
great. Then they laughed.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Oh, that's fucking funny." So every time they would laugh, I'd be like, "Silence! You guys are messing up my training."
Yeah,
you know
exactly. So you know, comedy. I must say that it was the most fun I've ever had. Never laughed so much in my life, but so stressful. So stressful.
Yeah, it's just it's a great. You really have to love it because like the money sucks until like you really make it.
But all those guys are so smart. That's the one thing that I walked away with from comedy is everybody is so smart and so quick, and I think it probably prepares you for everything. I mean, disappointment, right? Well, success.
Yeah.
Public speaking.
It humbles your ass for sure.
And humbling.
Yeah. I you know, it's been good. I'm running into a lot of comedians back here in New York, and everyone's, you know, are you still doing comedy? You were so fucking funny. Like, you can't stop. I know you want to be a public speaker and all this other shit, but you can't stop. You were so good. And these are people that have, like, really made it. And you sometimes forget when you kind of step out and you build up your confidence. You're like, you know what? Like, I was fucking funny. It was really funny.
Yeah, you're very funny.
Shows I didn't do well in. Like, I had a great line last night. I wish I was on stage. I went to the Stand. We'll give a shout out to the Stand. I went to the Stand Comedy Club, and there was this man at the bar. And I was with one of my comic friends, and he was in this beautiful blazer, these nice pants, nice Gucci penny loafers, just, you know, looked really nice. And I turned to her and I said, look at that guy at the bar. I said, I just want to fuck the trust fund right out of them. And I was like, I need to say that on stage and make that go right. But she was like, that's hilarious. She's like, you cannot stop. Yeah. Like, this is ridiculous. And I was telling our magazine guy here earlier, I said, yeah, I have to kind of keep doing comedy because I'm so raunchy in my everyday life that I feel like comedy gives me like
you have to get it out.
Pass.
You have to get it out.
Yeah, if I was just like, oh, I'm an author and a public speaker, and I'm sitting here going, I'd like to fuck the trust fund out of that kid, people would be like, well, she's kind of fucked up, right? But as a comedian, they're like, that's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, your book is funny.
I had to make it funny.
Yeah, you had to make it funny. I can't wait to finish
Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, with the pages that I received, I was like, well, that's when I emailed you last night. Where's the rest of it? When do I get to read the rest of it?
Right now, that's your book.
Thank you.
Going home with that. I just got to sign it.
Will you sign it for me?
Of course.
So what do your comedian friends have to say about your book?
I mean, they're super supportive and like very proud, and you know, they haven't read it, but I think that they'll like it. Like, some of my jokes actually like ended up in the book, which was kind of fun. Like, I make fun of my face a lot because that was something I always did. Like, I have a face that doesn't match my personality at all.
When I first met you, I remember you saying that. Madison and I met at a party in Connecticut.
Yes.
And we hit it off immediately. And then when we realized all this, we knew all the same people in comedy. And then she started being in Connecticut and what she looks like. I was like, we're going to be great friends.
Yeah.
And a show came out of it, which was even better.
Which is awesome, right? It's like, you never know.
Never know.
I felt like I begged to go to that party, and I'm glad that I was accepted.
And for me, it's like, oh, I got to go to Connecticut. I got to go over a bridge. What?
I know.
But I'm glad we did.
Exactly. No. But yeah, I talk about my face. I make fun of my face because honestly, like, look at that cover. I mean, I look like a therapist or like a substitute teacher. Like, I look like I'm lost. I look like I'm like looking for a rich dick to put my mouth around. Like, I don't know what that photo is.
I want to know what your mother thinks when you come out with things like that.
Well, the good news is that I'm exactly like my father, minus the sucking dick part. So she's used to it. She's got like 2 of us, so she's always like, "Oh my gosh,
she's okay with it."
Oh my gosh, like she doesn't say it, but it's funny. I'm like, it's great because the second page in the book was when I compared life to sucking dick at a frat party. So,
but I think you look beautiful, and I think everybody would agree.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. I did a whole photo shoot for the book, and the photos that I love are on my website, madisonmalloy.com. You can see those. But the photos I didn't really love were the ones they picked, the publisher. And I said, you know what? I'm giving them creative control. They know what they want to do.
So they see something that you don't see.
Exactly. That is not the picture I would have picked.
Yeah.
But that's the picture they chose.
I've done the same thing. I pick pictures that I like, but somebody likes something else better.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, with this, they were like, you look conservative. It's not a sexy photo, because you don't want like a sexy photo on the front of a book unless you're a porn star.
Right.
Like, you want people to
take you seriously.
And the majority of readers are women under the age of 40 are the biggest book buyers. So you want to make sure you're not coming off intimidating in any way, and warm and friendly.
Right. So
they want to grab the book.
Yeah. So how did you get started? Did you just sit down? Well, I know that you're a writer.
Yeah.
But did you just sit down and say, I'm going to start writing the book?
So I started doing like outlines. I didn't have the title. Started doing like outlines of like stuff I wanted to talk about, challenges I had been through, interweaving some of the jokes that go in there, my family background story, all that stuff. And then I would kind of work on it. But it was like what most people think of writing a book. Like, you sit down and then you write, and then you go back and, I forgot a comma, and then you put a comma, and you keep going forward and try not to lose your place, hoping it makes sense. What I learned from a mentor person was that the majority of books are not written how you think they're going to be written. A lot of the books end up being transcribed. Meaning I remember actually going through, and I do not promote this food whatsoever, but I do like it, and I think you should indulge. I was in the drive-thru at Taco Bell. not late at night, but there was a line. It was around dinner time. I was
Yeah.
like, I want a Crunchwrap Supreme with a Diet Coke, chips, and artificial cheese. Like, that's what I need right at this moment. And one of the topics came to me, and I just hit record on my phone and just started talking. And talking. And then I sent it to Zoom, and Zoom has a transcribe.
Right.
And they shot it out into a document, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is amazing stuff. Like,
Wow.
I just started cleaning it up. So some stuff was written, like, at the computer, and then the other stuff was, like, voice recorded and then transcribed and cleaned up. So for anyone who's, like, struggling, like, I just don't know how to write, blah, 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 just talk.
Yeah.
Talk into a recorder and
Well, so
transcribe
many
it. You'd be
people
amazed.
speak about they want to write a book, right?
Yeah.
And it's taking the discipline to sit down and actually do it. I mean, I've always said I want to write a book. I'm
And-
not a
yeah.
writer. But now it's so much easier to get to that
Exactly.
point where
The
you can do it.
transcribe, yeah, the transcribe button's amazing. And once you like just start writing, and the thing is, like, I feel like no self-help person, I'm going to say this right now, whether it's Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Oprah, Heather Monahan, whoever, there's so many of them now, right? Even though they've got the tips and the tricks to make you feel better, nobody's perfect. Everybody still struggles, and they
Right.
have to work on
Right.
that. We just don't stay in it as long as we used to. Like, whether it's sadness or irritability or whatever it may be, you just kind of, get out of it. And I
don't know what I'd write about. Maybe I'll write about you. When
You
you're rich and
should.
very famous.
You should write about me. You definitely should. Do you want to be my speechwriter? I'm kind of looking for one of those. I actually have to do a speech next week in front of
Yeah.
5,000 people. I need
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. And who's going to play you in the movie?
I would say Reese Witherspoon.
That would be
Oh, yeah. It
That
should
would be
be
good.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be.
That
for
would be
sure.
good.
Yeah, that would be good. So, but writing the book was so fun. And
Do you think it helped you with the depression and, was it cathartic
Yeah, I mean-
getting it all out and
yeah,
seeing
like,
it on paper?
I don't feel like I've been, like, depressed for a long time. So when I was trying to get out of my depression, like 6 years ago, I said, I can't do this on my own. I couldn't afford therapy. I had really shitty insurance. And
So you didn't have therapy when you were going through those
No.
difficult times?
no, I was dead broke.
Yeah.
All I could afford was, like,
Yeah.
if I got hit by a bus, right?
Yeah.
So I finally found a doctor, and I was like, I just need something to try to, like, function so I can get through. And I had functionable depression. So she gave me a mild Prozac. And I took that for 2 years. It was a very low dose. And I think, like, 1 week I think it was God, honestly. Somehow forgot to take it.
Yeah.
And 5 days went by and I hadn't taken this. And you're supposed to taper off these drugs. You're not supposed to
Right,
stop them cold
exactly.
turkey. And I felt fine. In fact, I felt better than I had ever felt before. And I'm like, maybe I don't need this. And I was taking more supplements. And I think that zinc, always consult your doctor. I'm not giving medical advice or financial advice, whatever. I always say, it's on you. I give you the information. You do your own research. Zinc is a game changer when it comes to mental health. And it's also a game changer when it comes to immunity. And it almost like it vanished, like God took care of it.
Right.
It was bizarre,
Yeah.
like how everything kind of happened.
Yeah.
But I used to pray in my bed all the time.
Yeah.
God, just show me the way to have more confidence. Show me the way to not be sad. Show me the way to not be anxious. Show me a way that I can actually be happy and proud of my life.
I say a lot of Hail Marys.
Yeah, you have
A
to.
lot of Hail
So I
Marys.
think a lot of it could have been God too, being like, okay, blah, blah, blah. So I was able to get off of it. But one thing that I mentioned in the book, so when I'm writing the book, right, I'm thinking, I got this mental health shit, this self-help shit under control. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm launching a book. It's going to have more F words in it than any other self-help book. It's going to have dick jokes in it. This is going to be the best thing ever. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to fall a little bit down. And I'm like, why am I anxious because I'm about to write in basically a school paper that the whole world's going to see? And it might not be as good as I thought it was? Or am I depressed because I don't know where I'm going to live yet? Like, what's my next move? And all of a sudden, I'm just like, I don't feel good. And I had a conversation with my mom, and I'm like, I'm writing a self-help book, and I feel like shit. What is happening? And she was like, when's the last time those hormones were checked? And I said, years.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? Go to this place I go to.
Yeah.
And so I went and got my hormones checked. And
You
the
spoke
woman was
about
like,
that last week's episode.
Yeah.
Right? We've had a couple doctors on speaking about that.
it is the most critical thing. And I had to put it in the book. I had to go back and put it in the book. Because what I found out through that test was that my testosterone was in the trash. And as a woman, I wouldn't think like, oh, I'm sad today, I must have low T. You just wouldn't, because you
Right.
associate that with the man.
Yeah.
But women need testosterone. So mine was like in the gutter. And so the woman, she didn't have the best bedside manner, but she was so knowledgeable. She's like, your thyroid medication isn't working. You got no vitamin D. Take that orange fucking shit off your skin. Get the sun. Take a supplement. You need to raise the
she
D
was
levels.
telling it like it is.
Yeah, and then I go, so how do we do the low or increase the testosterone? Do I need to like get laid? And she was like, no, that's not how you do it. And I was like, damn. So they did. So they put a big ass needle in my butt, numbed me up. They sliced me just a little slice open, and they drop these pellets in that are custom
Right.
to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they put a Band-Aid on, and you know, she's like, it'll probably take about a month.
Yeah.
Switch the thyroid medication, and I'm telling you. Like, I was feeling okay, but in that 4 weeks, my energy and focus was like, whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, I'm back, bitches.
And it isn't funny. So many women don't want to speak about it. I mean, I found when I was going through that tribulation that a lot of women equate it with getting old. So they don't want to speak about it. And I keep saying, you know what? Pay attention. You know, because even depression can be an indicator, not having
Of your
enough,
hormones.
or not sleeping. And there's one thing I do want to say about depression, because everybody goes through the blues, and some people go through depression a little bit more severely. And if you can't get help, one of the things I always say is, you know, allow yourself to be sad. Especially living in New York City, I think that we have a tendency that if we're not accomplishing 1,000 things in one day, we feel like failures,
Yes.
right? That we have to keep going. And I always say, you know what? I'm not feeling so great today, so it's okay if I'm a little bit sad. But if it keeps going on, then I say, you know, try to do one positive thing a day. If you're feeling that low, if you can't get out of bed, do one positive thing. Do a load of laundry, make a phone call, do one thing. Don't pressure yourself.
Play with
because
yourself.
I think that the pressure of, like you said, why do I feel this way? I have a great life. I have great family. I have a great job, but I'm still feeling this way. And I think that makes it worse for us, is that putting ourselves under that pressure.
That's
Just my 2 cents.
I love no, and that is perfect 2 cents. No, I think you should sit in it and acknowledge it and then move on. Yeah, it's just like you just don't want to stay. But I will say, and I'm gonna admit this, but you know what? I'm an open book. My whole freaking story's in here.
So we keep talking to Devin, who's here helping us write some things for a magazine.
He's
and
behind
take a
the
picture.
camera.
He's behind the camera.
He's like, it's like a porno, except for I'm just kidding. Don't get excited.
He looks great. He should be on camera.
He should. Actor.
Next time.
So the thing that I'm gonna make this public, but the thing that wiped out my testosterone, and I think that younger women need to listen very carefully when I say this, because I didn't realize it was doing it, was a little naughty drug that I occasionally would take
I'm
called
shocked.
Plan B. Do not take it. Do whatever you can to prevent having to take Plan B. You think it's innocent? It can be. Too much of it destroys every time it destroys your testosterone. And you will end up
So I'm going to embarrass
very
myself.
awful.
I
Very
don't-
awful.
What do you mean Plan B? I mean, that's an actual drug? I
This
am
is
such a dork.
It's the morning after pill when you
Oh.
accidentally made a stupid decision. Always have safe sex. I mean, I didn't take it a
Yeah,
ton.
well,
I
that
wasn't.
ship has sailed a long time ago for me. So.
I wasn't popping it like Tic Tacs or anything. I mean, but I remember I think twice in 1 year. But I had taken it previously because I wasn't I didn't have sex outside of relationships, but I didn't want to be on birth control. I was a former very heavy smoker, and so I couldn't be on birth control because I didn't want to have a stroke.
Now, the whole world knows what a dork I am right now. I have no idea.
What is plan B? That's the greatest line ever. Brent, make sure you cut that clip.
Yeah.
What is plan B? I'm like, huh? But yeah, you don't want to take this. Obviously, if you have an accident and you need to take it, just be prepared that you're going to start feeling suicidal.
And I wish people would speak about that more because, those other options, although they seem okay and they are good options as opposed to some of the other options, but nobody really speaks about it. So I'm glad that you're being upfront and honest about.
Yeah, because I'm not somebody who has unprotected sex, but sometimes shit happens, kind of breaks, you heat of the moment, you think you're gonna date the guy. There's stuff that happen, and I know some family friends who have children in college, and they are like, oh yeah, the girls are popping them like Tic Tacs. Instead of getting on birth control, they're just going over the counter because you can get it over the counter, $50, and they're taking this. And I'm telling you, I know I've told my male friends about the hormone journeys and to listen to it, and I've had 3 male friends tell me 3. I think I got divorced over hormones.
It could be.
Yeah, I think my marriage
Absolutely.
ended because she could have just gotten her hormones checked, or I could have gotten my hormones checked, vice versa. It happens with both. Boom. Yeah. So I do put in the book there, no self-help book, no seminar, no coaching, no therapy, no nothing is going to help you if your body doesn't function right.
Yeah. So the lesson is pay attention to what your body's telling you.
If your body doesn't work, nothing's going to work either. So that's the
when's
most important.
The next book coming out? Do you have another one planned? And is that going to be self-help?
Yes, I like the self-help category. This is kind of a joke I do, but maybe it'll end up like I've been saying this, but even though I have a self-help book, I'm not perfect yet. I still struggle in the relationship area, romantic relationship area. I have not found my partner yet, and a lot of dealing with kind of keeping yourself out of the game, not feeling confident about yourself in certain ways, things of that sort. So hopefully I will manifest the perfect partner and I can write a self-help relationship book.
Well, that would be fun.
That'd be fun. You know what I'm going to title it?
What's that?
Time to Suck the Right Dick.
Okay, then.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm
not
kidding.
A book you're going to buy for your mother.
No, but I did put that in there. I actually originally when
Is
I was
it going to be D ...
Yeah, no, it'll be D*CK. No, I'm not really going to title it, but I felt like that's a really funny title because there were times when I'm like, how come I can't just find the right dick to suck, right? When you're struggling because you see all these women being taken care of by these men. And I gotta bring it up.
Is that how it's supposed to work?
Well, I got to bring up modern feminism.
Well, you know what I always say, a man is not a plan.
It's not. However, modern feminism went a little too far. Modern feminism should have stopped at equal pay and equal voting and equal rights. It started to go to the extreme where it taught women like myself, you don't need a fucking man. You don't need a fucking man. I don't need a man to pay for me. I don't need a man to open my door. And all of a sudden I'm miserable going, hold on a second. Yeah, I do. I do need a man to open my door. I don't need it. I want it. I was like, and I'm at that point now where I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but I don't want to have a man as a plan, but there's nothing sexier if a man's like, I want to take care of you. I'm like, fuck yes, you do. Let's do this.
Exactly.
At this point, I'm like, I don't need a man to take care of me. Well, maybe some months I'm like, yeah,
nice
I do need a man to take care of me.
It would
and
be
I'm
nice
okay
to
with
have
that.
a partner and, building something together. And yeah, there's something to that for sure.
Yeah. So I'm like modern feminine. I was a product of that. And now I'm sitting here going, God, there's so many people I turned down because I'm like, I don't need a man. I don't need it. Yeah. Nobody needs anything except for food, shelter, and water. But you should want those things. And I feel that we need to bring back that strong desire to build nuclear families and not just give into the narrative that's being pushed on us. And there's so many women who are stay-at-home moms that have built the most kick-ass fucking companies. And I'm like, I should have done that. I don't regret it because I feel that if it was my plan, it would have been done.
Right.
But at this point, I think we need to tone down the whole feminist movement just a little bit and let the man open the door for you.
Yeah,
Do you know how many
nothing wrong
men
with
I've
that.
met? They're like, the women won't even let us open the door. They're like, I can open my own door. No shit, Sherlock. He's trying to be a gentleman.
Chivalry. Remember
Yes.
that? Love it. Love it.
I want a man who's going to open every door, car doors, bedroom doors, bathroom doors.
Well, I think
I want all of it.
It's more of a respect
Take me
thing.
shopping.
Yeah, I think it's more of a respect thing than it is a weakness thing. And I think it's been misinterpreted on a lot of levels. But I think that what's so great now, of course I'm much older than you, what's great now is that women have choices. You know, they don't have to get married, or they can get married. They have those choices. It's when certain groups impose upon us their will and what they think. Because in my generation, we were mentored by that generation that was saying, you don't need a man, you could support yourself. You know, if he cheats on you, you should leave. Yeah. And you know what? It leaves an effect on you when you're in college and you're listening. And then things don't quite work out the way that you expected. And then you've got to shift your thinking and change your mindset, right?
Well, exactly.
So there was a book written years ago called Men Are Just Desserts. Very long time ago.
Oh, wow. I never heard of this book.
And the basis of the book is that a man in your life is dessert. He's not the main course. He's not the end all and be all. He's the cherry on top.
I actually like that, yeah, because you don't want to make any person or thing your whole world, because nothing is guaranteed in life. Nothing. Well, except for death and taxes. But that's it. Like, the only thing you have is yourself. You don't own anything. So it's the whole, like, attachment thing, like non-attachment. Like, enjoy it while it lasts, you know, because you don't want to, like, go down. You know, I always say, like, I love doors that close in my face. I do. Because I feel like I'm getting closer to the door, the best fucking door. So I look at my past relationships that didn't work out. And sometimes I look at my past relationships and I think, wow, that probably would have worked had I been who I am today. But then you think, look at all the things I learned from that not working out, or because of that. So everything happens for a reason. I'm a huge, like, believer in that. But it's like, we got to just start uncomplicating life. And in the book, I compare, I say, like, it's a very simple metaphor. Like, life is very similar to shaving your butthole. Like, you overthink it, you're probably going to hurt yourself. Like, if you just zap it, you're going to go on your way. Like, that's how you need to think about that. And the reason I use such a crude example is because you're going to remember it.
Yes.
So the next
everybody will pay attention.
Right? And first of all, I remember the final editor of the book. She was so funny. She goes, "You're turning self-help a little bit on its head. It's very well written. It's got some great advice, but whew, there's some stuff in there." And she said, "My only thing I want to ask you about that I think maybe you want to maybe take out is the shaving of the asshole part, shaving the butthole." And I said, "Absolutely not. It's a great comparison. Everybody will remember it." And she goes, "Okay, so you're prepared for the entire world to know that you shave your butthole?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Got nothing to hide. I'm an expert at shaving my butthole."
And there's nothing wrong with turning things upside down.
Exactly. And when I sell millions of books, I'm finally going to laser my asshole. And then I'm going to bleach it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take a picture. I'm just
So
kidding.
that's a segue to buy Madison's book wherever you buy books.
Barnes & Noble, Amazon. It'll be, like, obviously more places. But right now, it is out. It is available. It is the perfect gift for somebody in your life that you feel is constantly in their own way, or yourself if you're absolutely in your own way. I was the expert at being in my own way and somehow coming up with obstacles that didn't exist. So it was like I was self-sabotaging myself. So pick up this book. Although it's like has dirty jokes, it's funny. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to capture and grab your attention. But most importantly, I think it's going to help you. And there's some fun exercises where you need a calculator. So you're going to back into your dream life.
Yeah, and we'll be waiting for the next book. And I just want to take this opportunity again to say thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, thank
And
you for all you do. You guys,
I
there's
just
so
want-
many amazing guests that have come on this podcast. I can't even mention all of them. And they wouldn't have been on this podcast if it wasn't for this
Thank
lady.
you.
So thank
Well,
you.
I'll take this opportunity to say thank you to all those friends that have come on and
all the work she does.
And it's really been so much fun.
So another thing too, tell everybody your socials so they can follow you on your own personal journey.
So on IG, and I'm not very good with social media, but
Well, you're gonna get better now.
LA Dallas NYC. LA Dallas NYC is IG, and I don't have a website just yet.
Okay, let's get one.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
It will be LynetteDallas.com.
Okay, so you have the domain.
Yeah,
okay,
I have
good.
the domain. So, but I also want to say thank you to Yvonne Camacho and
Yes.
to Luciana, who takes my pictures, and now Devin. And there's
Yeah.
just so many people to thank out there, because it really does take a big group of people to put this
It
together.
does. And Brent Katz, our editor and audio kind of guy that does all our videos and puts our logo in the YouTube
And our editor.
videos.
And,
Yeah, he's amazing.
yeah.
So yeah.
So we're going to end this with the salutation. Till next time.
And don't forget, it's time to light the fuck up.
Exactly.
Buy my book. Oh, and if you haven't rated our podcast or reviewed it, please do. It helps us move up in the rankings and the search so more people can discover the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with the janitor. Share it with your church. Share it with the priest. And don't feel like you can't share my book with the priest either. One of my dear friends is actually a retired priest, and he loves my title.
And if you have an idea for the show, please let us know. We'd
Yes.
love to hear from you.
Next to Madison at gmail.com. You can reach us there, and we will see you next time on another episode of Next to Madison. Bye, Lynette.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.